Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Wilds of Eldraine draft here on the channel. We're going to go pick by pick and play by play and talk through everything so you will know what to do when you draft this format yourself. If you enjoy this sort of thing, let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, and you can subscribe for more drafts. I also have a draft guide if you want to learn like the basics of the format. That's like a 20-minute overview. But we're going to get started here. Wow, we already have a bunch of cards that I really enjoy. So, Likeness Looter. That's not even a tongue twister. Likeness Looter is a really good card. It is a blue-black card, but you draw, discard, and then you end up with a like flying big creature a lot of the time. But it is a blue-black card, and I don't really want to start off with any two-color card, and so I'm not going to take it here. I don't like Solitary Sanctuary. The blue-white deck just doesn't really exist in my experience. I think I played against like one blue-white deck, and it just wasn't good, and I haven't really seen that many. I like Welcome to Sweet Tooth a lot. I think it's just a very powerful card. It's like a 2-mana 3/3 that gives you a bunch of resources to bargain with. And overall, I think it's the best card in this pack. Picnic Ruiner is great if you are in red-green, but I'm not going to be taking that here. Torch the Tower, because I don't want to start with a gold card, and I think it really needs to be in red-green specifically. Torch the Tower is good. Cooped Up is good at common, but I think Welcome to Sweet Tooth is just a very, very good card. And also, if you have any other foods, then you get like a 2-mana 4/4 almost. Okay, so the person took a uncommon out of this pack. I'm not 100% sure how the rarities work with the Enchanting Tales because I know that they just take a slot. So I think they actually just took an uncommon out of this pack because there's 3 uncommons and then whatever the Enchanting Tail slot is. I don't think it like replaces one of those. Bramble Familiar is pretty good. You have like a 7-mana like value card that can be a 2-drop that ramps you. There's also Curse of the Werefox, which is a card I really like. I think I'm going to take one of the green cards to follow up Welcome to Sweet Tooth. The best card outside of that is maybe this guy. He's been pretty decent. But it's the best cards are definitely Curse of the Werefox and Bramble Familiar. And I think I'm going to take the Bramble Familiar. Get a nice 2-drop. Grant myself. I think Curse of the Werefox is really good. I'm actually just going to take Curse of the Werefox. A 2/2 that ramps you is pretty good, but there's also the 2-mana 1/3 at common that does the same thing. And now we're going to have to abandon our color a little bit. We're going to have to branch out because Commune with Nature is not very good. And I don't really want to stick to my guns here and take like a really bad card. Also, I am streaming this live on Twitch if you want to join in the fun live. So if I'm looks like I'm talking to myself, I am sometimes talking to Twitch chat. Do I have any experience with snake drafting? No, I've never snake drafted for Magic the Gathering. Okay, Cooped Up is a really good card. Dutiful Griffin is a really good card. And then there's also a couple of gold cards that are really far from where I'm at. So I think I'm going to take Cooped Up. I could play blue-black, I could play blue-red, but I don't want to like go towards that right now. And Cooped Up is just a good removal spell. I think Griffin is also nice, but I tend to just take the cheaper cards, the removal spells, early on, especially in best of 1. Okay, the only green card is a Toadstool Admirer. So for 2 packs in a row, we haven't really seen any green. There are 4 white cards. And so maybe I switch off into drafting a white deck. I think of these white cards, Kellen's Light Blades has actually been pretty solid. The fact that you can just have a 2-mana destroy any attacker or blocker is pretty good. Archon's Glory is okay. Unassuming Sage is fine. I don't really want to be 4th picking Kellen's Light Blades is the problem. None of these cards are very good. This is just a really bad pack. I think I will take Kellen's Light Blades over the Sage. Sage is okay. I've been fairly happy with Kellen's. I mean, it's been okay against me. Ooh, and now there's a Sir Armont. That could be good. Smothering Tithe. Not a card you can play in draft, really. Hollow Scavenger. Root Rider Fawn. This is the reason I didn't take the 2-mana 2/2, because Root Rider Fawn's a common that does a very similar thing. Because usually you aren't using the 7-mana mode. There's Hollow Scavenger. Now that I get this card, I kind of wish that I had taken the Unassuming Sage. But I think I'm going to take Sir Armont here. Most of the cards in this pack are white or green. And even though I might still abandon it, it's highest upside to just take that guy. Now there's a Hopeless Nightmare. There's not a single white card in this pack. There's 4 black cards. Hopeless Nightmare plays well with Kellen's Light Blades and Cooped Up. I just don't think green is open, and I'm not really convinced white is open. I'm just going to take Hopeless Nightmare. I really like that card. And now we're seeing a lot of blue. I don't think white is open. I don't think green is particularly open. I kind of think Snare Master's Bright might be the pick, and I just move into blue-black. There's a Collector's Vault, which kind of lets you do some janky things. I just don't think I can play green. I took a couple green cards early, and they've kind of been non-existent. I think just getting a 1-drop to put some aura on could be good. I think Vault is solid. Gives you some good bargain fodder. But I kind of want to try the Sprite. And I might be off-ramping into like a blue-black deck, which is kind of funny. This is a weird spot. Well, now I get a Stab Wound, maybe? Stab Wound is good in blue-black because you have flyers, generally, and the damage can add up. Living Lectern is also good in blue-black. Dream Spoiler is interesting. I don't love it, though, because it's just pretty small as a 4-drop, so it can't really block. And I don't have any instants right now. So I think I take Stab Wound or the Lectern here. I'll take Stab Wound. And now I get a Lectern. There are some white cards here that are pretty good. Besotted Knight is... I mean, only one white card. It's an okay one. I don't like the Tabby. I'm just going to take the Lectern here. I do have a couple of white cards. So Break the Spell could be okay. But I think I'm going to end up with my best deck if I just switch to blue-black here. That's the thing I'm getting. It's the sense I'm getting. And I do like Living Lectern. It plays well with Stab Wound because you're just trying to like be defensive, hit them with some flyers. And like I'm not gonna, yeah, perfect. We wield some good stuff. I'm gonna take the Prophetic Prism or the Ariet's Whisper. Thanks. Poog. I appreciate it. There's a Rat Out, there's a Prism. There's a Whisper. I only ever really want one Ariet's Whisper, and I know I can play the Prism at the very least. Now I think I'll take Sleight of Hand over Into the Fey Court. I really don't like Into the Fey Court. It feels like every time I cast this card, I lose. It's just so slow. And now we get the Diminisher Witch. That's a nice pickup for a Fairies deck as well. I don't love the Warehouse Tabby. We got a late Hollow Scavenger. What a weird situation we find ourselves in. Because we didn't see like any green for the entire draft, and then those last two cards are both green. Like I wanted to play green. I started off with 2 green cards, and then I took a couple white cards. And then the only green cards from those packs wheeled, so maybe green just wasn't opened. Ooh, perfect. There's a Italian's Messenger here. So I can use that with my Snare Master Sprite, any other fairies I get, also just Self. I do like Obira as well. But I think I'm just going to be continuing on my path here of just taking like strong blue-black cards. And then this pack is going to be a little bit weird because I assume the person next to me might have gotten into blue-black because I passed a lot of blue-black cards. Leaving pack 1 with only 7 playables isn't the best. But at least I think I figured out what I'm supposed to be doing here. And this is a good card to open. Maybe I'll even wheel a black card out of that pack. Okay, now I get a Spell Stutter. I haven't really been taking the cards like this very highly. But in this pack, there is a uncommon missing. This pack is just kind of weak. This card's okay. It's just entirely red pack. The Rabbit, pretty solid. The green-white card. You can also just play it as a white card. We'll just take a Spell Stutter. And now we'll get a Barrow Naughty. Could take a Sweet Tooth Witch, I guess. This is going to be the pack where I see a lot of white and green cards. So maybe I could have just like been like, okay, I'll just suck it up for packs 1 and 3. But I tend to be a pack 3 gamer. One thing, like you just like realize that pack 2 is going to be a lot of green and white cards because like I didn't see any green and white cards. The person to my left certainly didn't see any green and white cards because I took a lot of them. And so if I take Barrow Naughty here, I just get another 2-drop. It's another thing to play with my Italian's Messenger. Can help me race in the sky. Witch's Vanity. Ooh, Candy Grapple's fantastic. Happy to see that. Witch's Vanity is also great, but I'm just going to get the premium removal spell. And this is going to pay off because I'm going to pick up cards here and there for my deck in this pack. But pack 3 is really where I'm going to finish the bulk of my deck. I just need to make sure I make playables, which I will. I have plenty of time. And every card in my deck right now is pretty reasonable. I'm interested to see how this does. Normally, it's not my type of card, but if I'm taking things like Snare Master Sprite, a 2-mana like counter unless they pay 3 is pretty dang good. Plays well with other instants. Here there is Johan's Stopgap, which I like. Compulsion is not really my favorite. Sleight of Hand might wheel. The Snare Master is probably not going to wheel. But yeah, Green Drex says the spell stutter is better in blue-black. That definitely makes sense. Princess Take Flight is pretty good. I think here it's between the Sprite and the Stopgap. But I think with having a Nightmare and a Prism, Stopgap gets pretty solid. I don't really have any huge amounts of bargain yet. Just a good tempo play while I hit them in the skies. I don't have a lot of creatures right now. 5 creatures. These tempo-y decks tend to want creatures. I would have liked the Balluna's Gatekeeper. That card's been pretty impressive for me. I'm still just taking card quality. It might have been correct to just take the hit there and get a 1-drop fairy, though. When I already have 1, the second copy's much worse, though. And now I get Obira's Attendance over Reaper. Just a top-end card. Can buy me some life, win me combats potentially on the ground. And it's a fairy for those synergies. Yeah, that card can do some work, but I just want a big flyer. And now some card draw at instant speed can be good. Dark Tutelage is not a card you can play in a fairies deck, or really any deck. If you're behind and you just play a 3-drop like this, you can just lose the game if they're just hitting you with creatures. I just don't think this card's playable. But we get a Quick Study. I don't necessarily want to play it. Okay, now we get 3 Bowls of Porridge. Late Unnatural Growth. This card's great. If you're a heavy green deck, it's hard to cast, but it makes all of your creatures twice as big. I don't think I can play 3 Bowls of Porridge. Okay, now I'm going to take Conceited Witch over the Monstrosity and the Quick Study and the Fell Horseman. Fell Horseman has not been as impressive as I thought it would be. And Conceited Witch is pretty great with like small flyers. Like Baronaughty, Airmaster Sprite. They both benefit from getting +1/+1. Rowan's Grim Surge, another instant card draw spell. I'd rather play Quick Study just so I don't have to worry about losing life, though. I don't really want the 3 Bowls of Porridge either. 4 mana, deal 2, gain 3, eventually tap something eventually does not seem very good to me. Wow, late Welcome to Sweet Tooth, that's pretty wild. I think I'll take the Scarecrow Guide, though. I could see a world where I want to splash something. Okay, I get a Rat out. I don't know how good Sleight of Hand is. I've not been, like, dying to play it. It's kind of low impact. Okay, we did not wheel the spell Snare Master Sprite. I don't need that many cards for this deck to come together now, though. Which is nice. Another green card. Fairy Assassin's okay. This card is okay. I think it might be a Shatter the Oath pickup. Ice Out, not really a card I'm super interested in. I can probably get like stuff like that later. But this should be a pack where I get a lot more blue-black cards. We kind of just had to survive pack 2, and we did get some good stuff in pack 2. But we're really going to be pack 3 is where we're going to find our stuff. And just getting a kill spell's nice. Now there is a Balluna's Gatekeeper. There's also a Hopeless Nightmare. How many bargain cards do I have? I have 1 bargain card, 2 bargain cards, 3 bargain cards. I'm just tempted to take the Hopeless Nightmare. I've just been very happy having that card. I think Gatekeeper's great. It's a card I want to play. I just always see a card I want more. In this case, I think Hopeless Nightmare is actually correct, though. That card's great. I feel so powerful every time I cast that card. And now we get a Candy Grapple. Goes perfectly with the card we just took. There's a Stab Wound. There's a Mocking Sprite. There's a Charade, which we could definitely try to splash. We have not really any tapping other than the Snare Master Sprite, but here it's just an easy Candy Grapple. And now there is a Hatching Plans. How many bargain cards do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bargain cards for this guy. Enters for each creature that died under your control this turn. And there's a Vantress Transmuter and a Living Lectern. Kind of just want to take Living Lectern. I don't know if I don't think I'll get there on the Hatching Plans. It's really powerful when it works, but I think I just want a 2-drop blocker. I think the Vantress Transmuter is good as well. And now we get a Spell Stutter over a Ego Drain. I don't have that many fairies. I have 4, so I don't think Ego Drain is particularly good there. Sugar Rush isn't a good card. Quick Study, I already have one that I'm not sure I want to play. I mostly wanted the 0-4 blocker. Okay, now I'm just going to take creatures that can attack and block. Relatively sizable. Maybe I should have done that before. Yeah, same thing with Sweet Tooth Witch. I kind of want to take Prophetic Prism, but Sweet Tooth Witch is just like a creature, which is often more important. You just need stuff that can hit them. Oh my gosh, what a late pickup. The High Fae Negotiator. Getting one of those pick 8 really makes it all worth it. Not necessarily, but yeah, this is a great pickup. It's a fairy even. I can even start making cuts, which is great. I think with 2 sleight of hands, I can cut a land. So I can play like slightly fewer lands. So I only need to make 1 cut from these then. I'm really tempted to just cut Rat out. The Assassin is okay. With the Assassin, do I want to cut anything? Misleading Motes is a removal spell. Wow, we got a Mocking Sprite back. There's also 1 copy of Fell Horseman, which could be good. Yeah, I'll take the 1 Fell Horseman. Wow, last pick green card is wild. It is wild. Okay. Thank you, Toponomicon. Okay. I think I'm going to cut the Sleight of Hands, actually. They don't really fit with what my deck does. They're just going to decrease my density of creatures. I'm tempted to cut this card because it doesn't do a ton. It does make a card that I can use for bargaining and stuff, though, as a 3-drop. I think it's just a good card in general. So I like the Sprite. I like my cheap stuff. I like my 2-drops. Conceited Witch is great with my like Snare Master. Also to just make Living Lectern into a 1/5. That's pretty significant. I can cut a land because most of my cards are pretty cheap. Twitch chat recommended a message in German, which is hilarious. So I get to practice my skills. Okay. Sweet Tooth Witch is good with my... How many bargain cards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I don't know if I can afford to play Quick Study. 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting stuff. Could also cut misleading motes because it's kind of an expensive interaction spell. I have 1 kill spell, 2 kind of, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to cut misleading motes. And I'm going to cut... Which would I rather have? Sweet Tooth Witch or Quick Study? I think I'll cut Quick. And I'll cut a land. I don't really think cutting a land makes sense here. I'll cut Quick Study. And I'm going to try it like this. And I'll see you folks in the games. Before I get to the games, I want to give a brief shout out to the NicolaiBolas Patreon. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to support my content directly, then Patreon is the best way to do so. Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Patreon is a way for viewers to give back to the content that they enjoy. So if my videos have made your life a little bit brighter, maybe if you want some extra booster packs or gems on Magic Arena, and you just enjoy the channel, then Patreon is a way for you to give back and help me continue making high quality content on a consistent basis. You'll also gain access to things like my Wilds of Eldraine tier list, where I grade every single card in the set on an A through F scale, and other things like drafts with me, or even being featured in these credits, because I do want to give a special shout out to the patrons who support at the credits level. It really does mean a lot and helps the channel grow and thrive. Thank you so much to all of my patrons, and without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round 1. We will keep this hand. We've got the Lectern. Got some counter magic. There is some argument to just wanting to play more instants and sorceries. I haven't been that impressed by the Lectern. It does block a decent amount of stuff. Maybe I'm just not supposed to play those. I don't know. They give me some nice defensive speed while I swing in with flyers, presumably. Okay, the Sprite, sure. But in this case, it might not do that much. Blue-green with a Snare Master Sprite is interesting. I'm going to make my guy a 1/5. That's pretty nice. Then I'll hold up my counter spell for now. I'm just going to flash in the Stingblade Assassin. Maybe they have a counter spell too. They do not have a counter spell. Do not need another lectern. Make this thing a 4/2. So the Snare Master Sprite can't take it down anymore. I'll keep it on top. So they'll just jam their guy now. Okay, 4 cards. What do they have? Well, they probably have some sort of... They probably have a lot of lands, I'd be guessing. Otherwise, they would have been powering stuff out with this Fawn. Maybe they have a fight spell that they can't use. Archive Dragon, sure. That's a strong play. All their cards have Ward, which is annoying. So I can sack this thing to put a thing on this, then I can attack in. Shrink their guy, kill this thing. This card's pretty good against me. I think this game's over. I am miles behind. My cards did not line up well here. This is why I don't like counterspells in limited usually. Because they're pretty obvious when you have them. And, ooh, that doesn't do what I want it to do. I'm just like missing land, which is really bad for me. Okay, I can do this. I can Candy Grapple, give this -5/-5, and block it by sacking the Wicked token. Thanks, Soviet. Yep. I didn't have any options that game. Missing land drops made that pretty impossible. Ugh. I didn't get to hold of my counter spell. If I could have like countered that dragon, I think I would have been able to win. My gosh. But, you know, I had nothing I could have done there. So, no use dwelling on it. When you have a lot of instants and sorceries, I mean, a lot of instants, you can sometimes do some cool, tricky things. But the fact that all their cards had ward made it like, what am I going to do here? On the draw, I'm going to keep this. My deck isn't that strong. When you have a kind of mediocre deck, you kind of need to get lucky sometimes. Oh, was I just playing against you, Freddy? Your deck was pretty good. My deck really needed to hit a land drop for the spell stutter I had. Sure, we will chillax. Oh, I'm so bad. That's not good. This card's pretty nutty. So my plan here is to eat the Picnic Ruiner, go to 2, and then top deck a Swamp so that I can use my Assassin to take out the Witch Stalker. And just be at a really low life total, but have some guys. This could be quick. Yep. That hand was a very borderline keep. I was like, you know, if I draw a Prophetic Prism or a Swamp, it's like actually playable. I just try to avoid mulliganing a lot of the time. This is a reasonable hand. On the draw, of course, but you know, such is life. Spell stutter actually is okay on the draw. I also don't regret switching from green-white. We got like a 8th pick, 5-mana, 3/5, drain 3 guy. And that's the sort of... We could have gotten like significantly more than that as well. Okay. This card's really annoying. I'm counting on you, Talion's messenger. Oh no. So I've got grapple. I figured a lot of the ores they might want to cast have to target something, and so Candy Grapple could be good there. She's vulnerable against them having like an instant speed aura or something. I'm going to be playing this next turn almost no matter what. Stab Wound can take care of Mary Bards. Okay. Okay. I kind of want to make this a 2/2. So this could be an attack for 7. Hey, Mandarang. If I attack for 7, they go to 9. I stab wound this guy. They go to... Make a 2/2, or they just go to 10. I'm kind of operating in even numbers here. Making a 2/2 is pretty nice. Stab wound almost like a creature here, just does some damage to him. And now even if they kill any of my creatures, I still have lethal with the other 2, pretty much. Plus the Shatter the Oath, which will put a Wicked thing on, which gives me extra power. Because this will do 2 damage. So they're at a functional 6 if they don't get rid of this. And this is 2, 4, 5. Plus the counter from this is 6. Nice. I think blue-black is the best home for Stab Wound because you can just hit him in the air and then the Stab Wound actually does relevant stuff. Okay, so they have a flyer. I mean, a life gain guy. If they're at 11. So they're going to go up to 11. I have 2, 6, 8, 9, 10. And then stab one finishes the job. I think I'm going to make some tweaks to the deck based on these experiences I've had. I think I'm going to cut some of the random sorcery speed stuff and try to lean into the instant speed aspect of it, because I have a lot of like flash shenanigans I've been getting up to. I think the living lectern aspect of the deck is the weakest part. How many cards do I have that I can cast on turn 2? I've got the 2 grapples. I've got the 2 counter spells. I've got a prophetic prism. I don't think I want the living lecterns. I kind of have 6 2-drops in a sense. And this is kind of this 1-drop can kind of do some stuff as well. If I bring in the rat out. Bring in the card draw, cut the Sweet Tooth Witch for misleading motes. And try it like this. Getting rid of some of my bad cards for some better ones. I think giving something -1/-1 is pretty powerful in a lot of spots. Just adding a couple of instances is going to make a huge difference. I cut 3 sorceries for 3 instants. And this is much better. I'm very happy that this is a draw spell instead of a living lectern. It makes this, it takes this hand from like deeply, deeply mediocre to like actually like, I'll be having some cards coming at least. Okay, now I'll have the options. This is the very powerful spot to be where you have like, I can cast card draw, removal, or counter. And they are playing a blue-black deck. Baronauti on its own is not too scary. I don't want them getting a cost reduction here. Like, this game would be going really well if I hadn't drawn all of my lands, but we're a couple spells away. I'm just going to play the Snare Master Sprite. Not going to pay 2 because I do want to sack this Nightmare. I don't love the counter spells. They were kind of better than the other options I had at the time, Mandarin. We've seen the counter spells do very little in some of our games where our opponent just played around them very mildly. But I did make my deck more counter spell friendly. Okay, that's good for me. We have very little to do right here. We need to draw some action. Rat out is not exactly action. Oh my gosh, that card's unbeatable. Almost, it feels like. That was a good draw. I have the Talions Kindly Lord guy, so I'm just going to keep my lands. They have 3 cards. I have 3 cards. I'm fairly certain there's a removal spells and stuff too then. Perfect. What a draw. No. Come on, man. I have a Fell Hunter guy that I can use to get it back, or not Fell Hunter, the Headless Horseman guy. Fell Rider. Whatever that guy is. The 4-drop. This was my best card for this position, though, where I have some extra lands that I can't really use. Okay, I'm glad I saved my removal spell. The Crown of Winter just feels almost unbeatable. What do I think of Collector's Vault? Collector's Vault is reasonable in some decks. I actually had a pretty good deck with it one time. Gosh, what do I have as outs here? If I can kill this thing, I'm in okay shape. Okay, well now that's not the case. They have a backup one. I have no ways to kill this. This counterspell does not do much here. That's not helping. Collector's Vault would be certainly good here. I will say, I think my deck is looking worse than it is, because when any deck that draws like 10 lands in like instead of, I mean, I guess 10 lands in this number of cards isn't that unreasonable. It just feels like unwinnable because Hilda's Crown of Winter is absurd. Maybe we're supposed to counter the Prism. I don't know. What do I bounce? Do I bounce Crown of Winter? You can just recast it. Perfect. Just what I needed. Well, you know, these things happen. I had a really tough seat in the draft in terms of like the cards I opened slash took early were really not lined up with what was actually draftable in my seat. I mean, I guess green white was technically draftable, quote unquote, but like, not really. And so that left me in a spot where I was like, not in the best of shape. Also, I just have drawn a billion lands, and the games have just lined up very poorly. I am glad that I cut the living lecterns, though. It still has the +1/+0 ability, though, which is hilarious. And it's still a flyer. Ironically, if I'd drawn this sooner, I might have actually had a shot. Because then my Snare Master guy could have traded for one of their guys. Yep, that's game. 1 and 3, not the best. I think the deck was okay. Deck was not my best deck, but I also drew pretty badly. And I don't think I was on the play a single time. Or maybe I won the game I was on the play. Regardless, I spent a lot of time on the draw. What can you do? What can you do? Yep. This is the deck. I started off trying to draft green-white. It didn't really seem to be working. I think this is the best build of the deck I had. Just did not line up the way I was hoping. If you did make it all the way to the end of this video, leave hashtag 180 to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video, because we made a complete swap from the first 4 picks of our draft into blue-black. Honestly, I think it was okay to do that. But, you know, hindsight, all that stuff. Maybe I was supposed to try playing these sleight of hands to, like, cut down on lands, give myself more selection, but I really don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something about the drafting portion. Even though the deck didn't perform that well, it's not like a terrible deck. Like, it could have totally gotten some wins. Like, in that last game, if my opponent hadn't had a kill spell for Talion's Messenger, I would have been able to win, I think. Because I would have, instead of drawing, like, 11 lands, I probably would have been able to, like, go through some cards and actually, like, play spells. Also, they had an absurd unbeatable bomb rare in terms of that, like, tapper guy. It's not a bomb rare in terms of, like, it's unbeatable, but it's, like, very hard to beat, because eventually they can just draw some cards off it if you attack them, and, like, you do try to kill it. It's very hard to interact with, and that card basically unbeatable for my deck with my kind of low creature count. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.